Now I got a question. If I take your account of events, right? They were cutting logs into firewood. Now, were they doing that to make Lincoln logs for their kids to take home? Is that what that was? No, were they having a splinter contest to see how many splinters they could get before they go home? Like what? No, they were doing that supporting the firefighters, which makes them a part of the firefight. Even taking your account. What are we doing? Shout out to all of the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. I am Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Now, there are levels to evil. You know, building all the way up to ESPN putting commercials in NFL Red Zone.
Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line.
Burger King has a...
There's the kind of damage that you inflict because you yourself are actively being damaged by that person. Then there is the kind of damage you inflict when that person has absolutely nothing to do with you. You just want to do damage. And then there's the kind of damage that you inflict when you even know that that damage will hurt you. But it's worth hurting yourself in order to damage somebody else. We've entered that level. Firefighter arrested by U.S. border agents was on track for legal status. Lawyers are demanding the release of a longtime Oregon resident arrested by U.S. Border Patrol while fighting a Washington state wildfire, saying on Friday that the firefighter was already on track for legal status after helping federal investigators solve a crime against his family. Now, just so we're clear, this is a man who was already on track for his legal status after helping investigators. And he was picked up while actively fighting a fire. His arrest was illegal, the lawyer said, and violated Department of Homeland Security policies that say immigration enforcement must not be conducted at locations where emergency responses are happening. 'Cause yeah, why would that not be an issue to not conduct these kinds of raids when emergency responses are happening? But then again, that might be too much to ask considering you've given yourself the green light at schools and churches, specifically because, they're Catholic. And yeah, Latinos for Trump. I said they. Now here's where it gets real crazy. He's one of 2 firefighters arrested this week while working the Bear Gulch fire in the Olympic National Forest, which as of Friday had burned about 14 square miles and was only 13% contained, forcing evacuations. I got a question. Yeah, if I'm forcibly evacuated and I have to lose my home because this fire was not contained, can I sue the agency that actively pulled firefighters off the line? Is that a possibility? Because that had a direct impact. I'm pretty sure I saw that dude was coming to my home to put the fire out when they picked him up. You know what I mean? I saw it. I did see it.
I think that...
I can tell you this, if I'm evacuated and I have to leave my home and I see ICE agents coming to pick up some of the firefighters trying to keep the fire away from my home, I'm going out like Earl Thomas.
Team with all of the great names.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection said in a statement Thursday that it had been helping the Bureau of Land Management with a criminal investigation into 2 contractors working at the fire when it discovered 2 firefighters who they said were in the country without permanent legal status. Okay, so you came for a separate investigation and you found out that there might be 2 illegals fighting the fire, and then you decided amongst yourself to interject yourself in an active firefight. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you, because that's what I heard. And by the way, this is what that looked like.
Against firefighters that don't have anything to do. Exactly. They don't well, they let anybody in? Yeah, that's dangerous. I mean, clearly that's actually dangerous as fuck. Make that clear.
Yeah. Work hard and it's what you get, guys.
Thank you, sir.
I can only imagine what those firefighters were thinking.
So yesterday, while an active wildfire was going on and lives was on the line, ICE agents detained firefighters who were battling the flames. Let that sink in. At a moment when every set of hands matters, when families, homes, and property everything is in danger, the government pulled firefighters off the line because of their immigration status. Look here, as a firefighter, I can tell you, when the call comes in, we don't ask about politics, race, or papers, none of that stuff. We ask, where's the fire, where's the patient, and who needs help? And that's what public service is supposed to be. Our communities deserve better, man. We need leadership that puts safety and humanity before politics. If you guys don't know, I'm Bernard Taylor, and I'm running for Congress down here in Florida Congressional District 21, and I'm running because we need a new generation of leadership in this country.
And by the way, that was Bernard Taylor. If you guys don't follow him, get on top of it. And by the way, he dropped some knowledge on my live stream not too long ago. But this firefighter, whose name has not been made public, has lived in the U.S. for 19 years after arriving with his family at the age of 4. He received a U visa certification from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Oregon in 2017 and submitted his U visa application with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services the following year. Another Homeland Security policy says agents cannot detain people who are receiving or have applied for victim-based immigration benefits, his lawyer said. Charging the man with an immigration violation was an illegal after-the-fact justification given his U visa status. His lawyer said on Friday they located him in the immigration detention system and were able to make contact. They're still processing information and are demanding his immediate release. And here comes the deflection. A senior DHS official said in a statement to the AP that the 2 men apprehended were not firefighters and were not actively fighting the fire. Officials said they were providing a supporting role by cutting logs into firewood. Now I got a question. If I take your account of events, right? They were cutting logs into firewood. Now, were they doing that to make Lincoln logs for their kids to take home? Is that what that was? No, were they having a splinter contest to see how many splinters they could get before they go home? Like what? No, they were doing that supporting the firefighters, which makes them a part of the firefight. Even taking your account. What are we doing?
This some old bullshit.
Yes, can I make the same case for administration officials that are not actively helping the country? The firefighting response remained uninterrupted the entire time, the statement said. No active firefighters were even questioned, and U.S. Border Patrol's actions did not prevent or interfere with any personnel actively engaged in firefighting efforts. Wow. I think they got a Karen in charge of making their statement, because Karens, they don't know how phones work. They'll tell you something. They'll tell you something, irregardless of the fact that we have footage. This kind of reminds me of that lady that fell down while she was being recorded.
After what you on, bro?
I did not touch you.
You tweaking?
I did not touch you. Oh my God,
You
she's
just barged up.
Oh
Really?
my God, she's hurting me.
Really?
Oh,
Really?
she pushed me. Oh my head.
Really?
Oh my God, Michael, get the police.
That's when I started
She's
gagging.
pushing me.
We have the footage. What are you talking about?
Authorities in Washington state have been fighting the state's largest wildfire nonstop for almost 2 months.
It's called the Bear Gulch fire. It's burned 9,000 acres since early July. Officials say it's only 13% contained. It is so big, they've had to rely on contract firefighters. But a group of those firefighters who were battling the blaze had to take a 3-hour timeout from their work on Wednesday. You see, their camp was raided by Border Patrol officials, and they were lined up and told to show their IDs.
Nice. We got hit, guys. That's all right. Tribal member. Yeah, we got pulled over by ICE. Crazy, dude. We got members from the tribe of Umatilla, Cayuse, and Walla Walla. This is crazy, man. Look at that. Post it up. We have a different crew over here. Talk to the boss. And I guess La Migra.
You heard people on the scene claim that at least some of those firefighters were Native Americans, indigenous volunteers. They got raided. State officials confirm it. Now, those Border Patrol officers ultimately arrested 2 of the firefighters. It's not clear why. According to reporting by the Seattle Times, one of the firefighters said members of the crew were told not to take video of the incident. You risked your life out here to save the community, the firefighter said. This is how they treat us.
Now, we have crossed this impasse a number of times before. In fact, we crossed it even before this current regime when it came to just basic law enforcement. Oh, no, don't take video. But everything is there's nothing untoward going on here. It's all by the book. But yeah, don't capture it. Common sense. Common sense. How you expect me to believe your account of events when you're actively trying to prevent it from being documented, which, if it were the case, would go in your favor? That's just basic common sense. But to this line, you risk your life out here to save the community. This is how they treat us. Didn't they tell us this was for criminals? They told us this was for criminals, right? This was supposed to be. It was for criminals. That was how they prosecuted the mass deportation case. The other thing they did, leeches, right? They were criminals, and then they were leeching off of the economy. And we're actively going into schools, churches, and now stopping an active firefight to pull people off of containing a fire. Because what? They're leeches?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Now, this falling apart like that case they tried to prosecute against us for DEI. Yeah, we were all DEI, and then it all fell apart when you allowed the dregs of your society to direct DEI at people with Juris Doctorates and, basic language and reading comprehension skills. This is exactly how that looks.
Another firefighter said they were denied the chance to say goodbye to the detained crew members. I asked him if his family can say goodbye to him because they're family and they're just ripping them away, the firefighter told the Times. And this is what he said. You need to get the blank out of here. I'm going to make you leave. As the Times notes, it's unusual for federal border agents to make arrests during the fighting of an active fire, the largest in the state of Washington, especially in a remote area. In fact, a Biden-era policy bans most immigration enforcement at natural disaster sites, but here we are. Trump and his supporters, Vance says this all the time, they constantly push this line that you either care about Americans or you care about immigrants, not both. But it's racist garbage. We're an interconnected society of human beings who depend on each other to survive and thrive. And there's not some neat line you can cleave between Americans and foreigners. We just have neighbors and communities. Trump world says that's bunk, that there's just two sides. Trump world says that to make America great again, you need armed federal officers roaming streets and businesses and Home Depot parking lots in search of people to disappear. And now raids on camps of firefighters as they literally battle the largest wildfire in the American Northwest. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Stephen Miller and their ilk are going to burn the country to the ground if that's what it takes so they can rule over the ashes.
When the Bureau of Land Management was asked to provide information about why its contracts with 2 companies were terminated and 42 firefighters were escorted away from the state's largest wildfire, it declined. It would only say it operates with other federal agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security. Meanwhile, wildfire officials were still trying to get control of the Bear Gulch fire. The number of personnel working the blaze was listed at 303 on Friday, down from 349 on Thursday. Yeah. Hey, take that down for that suit. You know, when I got escorted away from my property. Yeah, take that. You said 349 down to 303. Got it. Latinos for Trump. Yeah, I'm gonna have to holler at y'all right now. I'm gonna need to get your justification. I'm gonna need to get your justification for this. You know, those of you that are still apparently on board, and apparently there are those that are still on board despite this rampant FAFO season.
I mean, he's doing the most Trumpy right now is 30 to 39-year-old men. And the scary part to me is there's 35 points to the right to 30 to 39-year-old women. And he's doing really well with Hispanics. And again, I'm saying like really well, like the sum aggregate of first term, like, because these numbers don't look the same way right now that they did before. But Hispanic and other race voters, that May 22 reading, we had 57% approve. They're polling like 15 points to the right of white voters.
Apparently there are those that are still on board. I'm gonna need you to get your justification for this. Now, granted, because of what we've seen in FAFO season, we do understand that minds and hearts change when you're personally affected. Well, how about a fire in your neck of the woods? You feel personally affected now? Yeah. Okay. So just if the rotting crops in the fields with nobody to pick them wasn't enough, if the elevated price of food and goods wasn't enough, how about your house burnt down? Is that?
That's why I don't think anything.
So he's an idiot.
And they said that it was for criminals and leeches, right? Don't forget leeches. Latinos for Trump. Don't forget leeches. Now, how's that going? How is that going exactly? You know, rounding up all the criminals that they had told, you know, at the fires and picking our food and all that kind of stuff. How's that going? Y'all getting a lot of criminals?
When you listen to senior leaders in the Trump administration, what they're saying is that they're arresting what they're calling the, quote, worst of the worst. They're arresting people that they're referring to as and I think that just really doesn't tell the story of what they're doing. About 70% of those arrested have no criminal conviction whatsoever, and about 44% had never even been charged with a crime.
Oh, well, that's LA though. I mean, surely when they came down here to DC, things got better.
Immigration arrests here locally have surged in the past couple of months, and in most of these cases, it is people who have not been accused or charged with a prior crime. Take a look. Here's how the numbers break down. In early June, more than half of ICE arrests in the DMV were non-criminal. That's according to new data just released by the UC Berkeley Deportation Data Project. Now, since the inauguration, about 4,000 people have been arrested by ICE here in the DC area. In the district, 70% of those arrested do not have a criminal conviction.
So let's deconstruct. We have an agency that's doing a lot of work. We got an agency running around masked, unrestricted, pulling people off of the streets in the name of stopping crime and pushing mass deportation. To the point of even stopping an active an active wildfire. And this just happened to have happened in a region of the country. Speaking of homes, this happened in a region of the country where they were talking about the Brown Roundup. Now, weren't they? Remember the Brown Roundup where they were talking about, calling in illegals so that they could seize homes for white people? The brown folks will remain in county jails until the camps are completed in Texas. Then these folks will be transferred there, referring to the detention camps that, as Isabella Diaz has reported, Trump's acolytes plan to build. Oh yeah, they gonna try and make money off every aspect of this thing. When the brown folks are rounded up, the letter continues, their properties will be confiscated just like the properties belonging to the Japanese in California were during World War II. So within a short term, there'll be a whole lot of homes on the market for us white folks to purchase. And with the inventory so high, the prices will be very low and affordable. And yeah, I think some black MAGAs need to see that as well. Yeah, specifically for white people, Americans, real Americans. I don't know how many times y'all need to hear that. But we're at a point where apparently, because I'm unaware of the inner MAGA fallout behind this kind of decision making. So apparently we are okay with a wildfire being allowed to spread further by virtue of cutting down the staff that is actively fighting that fire in the name of what? In the name of getting criminals and leeches off of the, apparently that's what we're okay doing. Fire be damned. And quite frankly, I'm not sure exactly who is the most despicable here, whether or not it is ICE deciding that this was a thing that they should do, or is it the MAGAs empowering ICE to the point where they could and knew that it wasn't going to be a problem. And that's why I'm troubled. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. And I want to give you a quick warning moving forward. You may look at the runtime of my videos and see a 2 or maybe even a 1.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
I can't do it, player. I can't do it. No, I need a hard 30 because I put you on so that my granny can go to sleep. And I need a hard 30 so that I can sneak out the house. I can't do the 15 and the 20 and the 25. Nah, that don't work for me.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Well, I listened to you guys when you told me that you wanted more content.
You tripping, bro. You tripping.
That don't make sense. That don't make sense. Anybody else? No, that is literally the opposite of what you said. Wait a minute. Are you doing the MAGA thing? He doing the MAGA thing when he say something and he mean the complete opposite. You ain't slick.
Wrong.
Well, part of my thought process in determining what videos to make is whether or not I can get a whole episode out of it. So in many instances, there are so many videos that could have been made that didn't because I needed them to be a certain length. And quite frankly, that's stupid. And it makes me feel cold on the inside.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Not as cold as I'ma be if I'm stuck in the house with Granny. I can tell you that right now. Well, look, hey, if you said it's gonna be more content, that means it's gotta be more videos, huh? That's what you said.
I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
So that means there will be more videos. So there'll be more BOGO days where I release multiple videos on a single day, as I just did this past weekend. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and you turn on your notifications because you won't want to miss these premieres. And I'm also working on an audio feed, which is, by the way, already set up over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Reese Waters. So those of you that are interested in a podcast format can get that content that way as well. I can work with that. No, I can work with that. Yeah, because I can put on the audio and they can just roll from one episode to the next. So that's cool. So no, we good. But you still ain't told me why your mustache is sitting so far from your lip.